welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. It's your girl Tessa. Yes. Okay, so today, what are we talking about? Okay, we're going to talk about the cost of living in Dubai. I'm going to try and give as many numbers as possible to try and just give a rough estimate. Because I actually had somebody who put up a comment on one of my videos and asked how much my studio apartment is. So I'm just going to talk about the general cost of living and just 3 specific things, which is accommodation, food and transport. Those are the things that I'm going to go a bit into depth with. First, accommodation. It's the most expensive. Let me tell you this, it's the most expensive. I'm sure if you've watched the other 2 videos that I made, you would know that it's so expensive that sometimes you have to rent a bed space within a room. Okay, but that I can expand on maybe on another video. Accommodation. For now, just to answer the person who put up that question, the apartment where I live, it's a studio apartment. Some people might not understand what a studio apartment is. I only knew that it's a studio apartment when I moved to Dubai, but at home we call it a bed sitter or a bachelor. It just means that your whole apartment is one room. I mean, except the toilet, of course. The toilet is the only one that's closed off, but the kitchen and the rest of the area is kind of just open. So if you have space enough to put a sofa and a bed, literally some people come to visit you, they're sitting in your bedroom, which I find really uncomfortable, by the way. So in my apartment building, it's in an old part of Dubai, and yeah, most people would not choose to actually stay in this place. Most people I know. I have so many friends who are like, why do you stay there? But for me, I'm like, cheaper accommodation, and like, it's convenient for me. I mean, yeah, it's like very close to work, 10 minutes away from work, so I don't have to pay as much on Uber or taxi or whatever. Okay, so the apartments in my building, they range from approximately 22,000 to 30,000 per year. That is in dirhams. Okay, so I'll try and find the exchange rate for dirhams to US dollars, and then I'll put it right over here. Okay, so that's, yeah. Before I used to stay in a different apartment. This apartment used to cost me on a monthly basis 3,200 multiplied by 12, that was about 38,400. So now the apartment where I stay is much cheaper, and it's actually a new building, which is more convenient, which brings me to the point that sometimes it's better to rent an apartment from the owner of the apartment, which is what I'm doing now. And now I'm renting per year, which means that I have to pay in checks. And the agreement that I have with the owner is that I pay in 4 checks, which is every 3 months I'll be paying rent. Before I was paying every month, and it wasn't even to the owner, it was to somebody who was renting from the owner, you know. So it's more expensive if you have to go through a third party, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, better to take it for a year. Some people will say that you can pay in 6 checks, in 4 checks, in 3 checks, or even in 1 check if you have all the money. But I mean, it's so expensive. But in the long run, it's much cheaper. And in terms of bed space, depending on the area that you want to stay, like for me, I used to stay in an area that was close to where I used to work before, close to the mall. So the area is much nicer than the place that I stay now. So we used to pay about 1,200 dirham per head, me and the other 3 girls. It was 4 of us in a room, which is basically 4,800 per room. But because you cannot afford the room yourself, you have to stay in bed space. But I can elaborate the story about bed space on another day. Okay, so now to food. Food is not that expensive when you are cooking at home. Obviously, when you're cooking at home, you're cooking for one, so you don't spend so much. You can spend like 500 dirhams per month on food, and you can actually survive. But then again, you're like, oh, and then I have to go to work, and then this and then that. I don't have enough time to cook. Yeah. And then that's when you end up ordering some food, which is gonna cost you a lot. Let's say if you wanna have a proper meal at like Nando's for two, that's like a bit over 200 dirham. And then when you go to like the restaurants, like let's say something like PF Chang's or Cheesecake Factory, you're going to pay about over 400 dirhams for two people. And understand this, 400 dirhams is over $100 for food for two people. That's a lot. What I can say is that basically eating out is very expensive. So what I suggest is that you cook at home as much as you can, and maybe like if you're staying in bed space with people, like with your roommates, you can say, okay, this person cooks today, the other person cooks the next day, you know, depending on who's free on which day. We used to do that. On to the last thing, which is transport. Transport, this is dependent. You can use a bus, train, you can use taxi or Uber, or even a car lift. Okay, so the train is very convenient. The train is very convenient, but then at the same time, if you're going to work after 11 or coming back from work after like 11:40, you might not be able to use the train effectively because it has a closing time. And also, like on Fridays, it opens at 10 a.m. so if you have to be at work earlier, not a good idea. So you can take buses also. I haven't taken buses a lot, like I don't have much knowledge about it, because I feel like I'd be confused about where to drop off. But buses are also very convenient, especially when you have areas where the train cannot get. So you can get to a certain area by train, and then you can take a bus to get you closer to exactly where you're going. Of course, you can take a taxi or an Uber. For me, I prefer to take the Uber because it comes right to your doorstep. And also, Uber usually has these promotions, like 50% discount when you're using the Uber VIP or Uber Select. But obviously, on longer distance, Uber is very expensive. But it is convenient. And especially in my area, taxis are not easy to get. So the Uber would just come to your doorstep and then you're gone. You know, like it's very quick. And then car lift. Car lift is, how can I describe it? Okay, before I used to work in a mall and I used to stay in a place called Dubai. So the car lift would come pick me up at a pickup point. So it was me and some people we were all going to the same mall. This car lift was going to that mall. So it would pick us up from that point, and then we would go to another point, would pick up some other people until we get to the mall. It's very convenient because I think the last car lift from the mall would usually come at 2 a.m. which is very, very convenient for if you're working late night shift. And yeah, that's basically it. But of course, you take longer time to get home because when you're coming home, you have to drop off all the other people. But it's very convenient because you pay on a monthly basis for two-way, and it's so much cheaper than if you have to take a train every day or a bus every day. The other thing that might cost you a bit in Dubai would be activities. But now activities are solely up to you. This you can do research on depending on what kind of activities that you would like to do. I wouldn't know much about clubbing or anything like that because I don't really do that much. So yeah, I hope this will help. If you guys have any more questions about the cost of living, something that I might not have said or covered in this video, you can just comment in the comment section and let me know what you guys want to know. So I hope this will be helpful to somebody, and I hope I also answered your question to the person who asked about the cost of a studio apartment. But just realize that the cost that I told you, it's the area that I stay in. Obviously, if you want to stay in downtown, it's gonna be like way expensive. But for me, it's just a roof over my head. I mean, most of the time you spend it at work. Well, kinda. So yeah, With that said, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe this video and to follow me on Instagram. You'll find my Instagram handle right over here. Thank you so much, guys, and I love you.